let's do it.
All right,
Are we on?
I think we're going.
All right, we will call the August 3rd, 2026 Area Plan Commission meeting to order. If you would, please stand and join me in the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I want to thank everyone for coming this evening. If you would, Todd, I am ready for a roll call.
Raymond Bear. Cindy Cairns.
Here.
Jerry Cuddell. Here. Gary Duckwall.
Here.
Cale Grindle.
Here.
Ed Hartman.
Here.
Travis Lemaster.
Here.
Karen Poland.
Present.
Clayton Schultz.
Here.
Wilbur Webb.
Here.
Randy Atkins.
Here. All right, thank you. Commission members, good to see you all. It's been a while. So if you would, please review the minutes from our last meeting, which was May 4th, 2026.
I'll move to approve the minutes.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the May 4th, 2026 minutes. Any questions or comments? Entertain a second.
Second.
I have a second from Karen Poland. That motion was from Clayton Schultz. Todd?
Okay.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carries. All right, we will move on to old business. And Todd, I am not sure whether you have mentioned the new code enforcement person in the office to the APC. Were they on staff at our last meeting?
No? Okay. We're going to get in.
Would you tell us who that person is?
And he's not here yet, or here. Didn't ask him to. Didn't think about it. Randy McAbee is the new code enforcement person. He's come in, hit the ground running, and he's doing really well. Everybody seems to be impressed with him, and we're making things happen. If we want a little update on one of the things that he was able to do that Mr. Glickfield had gotten started was the Sunshine Rentals property, in which we had a court order to clean that up. He did a great job along with the sheriff's department and the work crew, the health department, and the highway department was able to get involved and coordinated with all those departments to get that place cleaned up. So
He has acclimated himself to the process.
yes, he has.
Yeah.
There are a dozen vehicles in Jonesboro we've been trying to get rid of for years, and he got them off the property in 2 days after he saw them.
Perfect, that's what we want. Yes.
We're very impressed in Jonesboro.
And he does understand the enormous amount of work that we have to do to clean all these things up. So even though we've mentioned a couple of great successes, don't overload him with a lot of phone calls.
Plenty more to
He
come,
sees
right?
it, he sees it, and he understands, how to eat an elephant one bite at a time. So
Well, I'm happy your office is complete, and I'm very pleased with the staffing that you've been able to put together, Todd. So thank you all for what you guys are doing in Area Plan. Okay, I want to bring everybody up to speed in regard to the data center subcommittee meetings that we've been having. We're going to have our 7th meeting this coming Wednesday on August 5th. It's going to be our 7th meeting. We have covered 30 pages in the past 6 meetings, and we are hoping to finish on Wednesday. Todd will begin to enter those revisions that have come about of the draft that the data subcommittee's been working on. And I'm hoping that once we're able to complete it, get through the next 6 pages, and Todd's able to get the revisions in, that we'll have one final subcommittee meeting just so that everybody on that subcommittee that's been part of it can agree that those were the revisions that we discussed with the public and with the members of the subcommittee. On the subcommittee's revision and approval, it will come to the APC for you guys to review. So I guess the question that I have is, do you want to have the opportunity to review what the subcommittee has put together before we schedule a public hearing? Because we'll have to have a public hearing for our recommendation before it goes to the commissioners.
Yeah, it's about, what is it, 30-some pages?
Yeah.
37 pages.
To be able to process
Okay.
it, think it through, look it
So,
over.
so as soon as the subcommittee gets that approved, we will get it out to the APC members. We'll have not a public hearing, not an official public hearing to forward it to the commissioners. We'll just have a discussion. Can we do that, David? Can we have just a discussion meeting on it?
Yes, of course.
Okay. And then at that point, once we come up with a recommendation, then we'll forward on to the commissioners. Now, we have, based on the fact that the subcommittee was approved, or our 6-month work on the ordinance, area-wide zoning, was approved on May 4th, we have until November before our 6-month runs out. So, we're going to be moving to try and get it through. We may have to have some special meetings in order to meet this deadline, because we would definitely like to have it within the 6 months that our area-wide zoning ordinance gave us the opportunity to do that. Is everybody okay with all that? Okay. Any questions about what's been going on with the subcommittee? I want to commend the community, the input that the folks that have attended those subcommittee meetings have been very beneficial to us. And I want to commend the subcommittee for the efforts that they've made. I mean, we're going into our 7th meeting, so we've spent our summer, you guys have, most of you had the summer off, but we've been working, with the subcommittee. So I want to thank everybody who's participated in that. With that being said, I have no other old business. Anyone else?
I hope I'm not speaking out of turn on it, but Mr. Clancy did present it publicly in one of the data center meetings. There was some kind of request from some company to be a test case or a first option or something. And is that something we're going to address? Was that addressed at the subcommittee level? Is that no longer a consideration? I'm just curious if anything happened with that.
Do you want to take that or you want me to?
I'll take it. That's okay. I think that should come before this board. It's just, we've had July off. The subcommittee meeting was the absolute first chance I had to put that out into the public. And I want to just keep this whole thing, it's a hot topic, as absolutely transparent as possible. So if anybody doesn't know what that email is and would like it, send me an email and I'll send it to you. But it was, in a nutshell, a company wanting to purchase the current Bitcoin property and turn it into a data center. And they were within the email stating that they could be used as a pilot program to show the benefits of a data center. And my reply back to them was, I've received your email.
We're not in a position to make a decision on anything like that at this point until we get our ordinance completed. That's my take on it. That's my feeling.
So
I
we'll discuss it, just not right now. That's
Correct.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That'll be, once we get the ordinance through, then we'll begin that. I mean, I think that they would need to follow whatever procedure of application and approval that our ordinance is going to direct them to do so.
Cart before the horse, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And I certainly don't think that it's the position of the director to be making any kind of negotiations with any company. It's not the director's role. I can bring it to the attention of commissioners and to this board, and whoever wants to handle that can, but it's not this role. It just doesn't belong here.
Appreciate that. Any other old business topics anyone would like to bring up?
Well, since you hit on the topic of transparency, I think we need to discuss the moratorium that we have on CAFOs and what's happening, bring everybody on the board up to speed on what's happening as far as an application that's been received for a CAFO by Nolan Holloway, and how we got to this point. Would you elaborate on that a little bit, Mr. Clancy, as far as the moratorium and the application and where we're at today? And, then the board will get up to speed with what's going on.
So there, in the past history, what's documented within our overall ordinance and within the recorder's office that I found was, and I may have dates wrong a little bit here, was in 2006, the commissioners put a moratorium on, and basically the wording was they want a moratorium until the APC acts to be able to revise the ordinance. And at that time in 2006, the APC acted and there were revisions made. And you can clearly see that in the documentation of our current ordinance. In 2018, basically the same thing happened again, and I don't see any documentation that anything was done by the APC to change the ordinance. So in my read, I think I sent that to you. And so you can give your opinion on that. Is that moratorium from 2018 that I believe used the word temporary, still a moratorium when they ask for, we want this kind of review to happen? Maybe there was a review that happened, but it didn't turn into any kind of ordinance change. But certainly the way it was worded doesn't appear to me, real opinion lies to my right, is that a forever moratorium?
Was there an expiration date at all? Or an expectation of when it might go off, or when an ordinance might be changed, or was there anything guiding that? I mean, I saw in the minutes in 2018 of October that they placed the moratorium. They didn't mention any expiration date. They just said it is in effect now when the commissioners voted on it. There's questions about, was it completed correctly? Was the APC involved? There are those questions I don't know that we know the answers to, but I think the community is under the understanding that there's a moratorium in place. And that if we don't get out front of this, it's going to be a shock that what's going on. We had a moratorium. Who took it off? What's happening? I think we need to get out front of this as quickly as possible.
Doesn't the moratorium expire at some point if no action is taken?
So under the area-wide zoning ordinance, the APC has the ability for a 6-month period, as we've done a couple times, to not accept any applications by resolution, which we've done. We did it with solar, and we're currently doing it with a data center. So that's just a 6-month period of time. Now that's APC's jurisdiction. Now the commissioners have jurisdiction by local ordinance power to also pass ordinances, which in this case, I'm assuming an ordinance was done which said there would be no acceptance of applications for CAFOs. My understanding of the situation has been, now I'm going back to 2006, I was not commissioner in 2006, I came in That was a brief period of time when I was not there, but at some point, the state legislature fixed a lot of the issues that were there with CAFO, and they took over the control jurisdiction of the operation, the stuff that goes into the operation of the CAFOs. And our jurisdiction as area plan simply became making sure the setbacks, things like that were in place. The state of Indiana would control the actual operation, where they go, that sort of thing. That's my understanding of why nothing ever happened after either instance in 06 or 18. So if the commissioners pass an ordinance, let's go to 18 as the most recent one, because I don't think anyone can argue that something from 06 moratorium would still be standing. But if they did it in 18, if they did it by ordinance, then I think an argument could be made that that's still in effect. I've not researched that, I don't know. It's a very unusual situation. But if we want to be absolutely sure, maybe the commissioners should revisit the issue and issue a moratorium, or this board could do as we've done in the past, ask for a resolution to be drawn up to start that 6-month waiting period, so this board has time to study the issue and make recommendations on what actually Grant County has the control over versus the state of Indiana.
So, but what I understood from the meeting minutes was that the commissioners voted for the moratorium in 2018. And then later there was discussion from past member of the board that things may not have been done correctly by as far as the APC was concerned on this moratorium. Never got to the APC for a public hearing or something. It's unclear as to what the problem was there, but that's a process error. When speaking with an attorney, he said that's a process error that sometimes a court will overlook because the commissioners have final say on a moratorium, no matter what the APC does or doesn't do. So that it could be in place, is what I'm saying. And the community's kind of been counting on that. It's been in place for a long time. It would be a surprise if it was not.
I'm only aware of the ability of APC through the area-wide zoning ordinance to ask for that 6-month suspension for the office to stop taking permits through resolution. Now, if the commissioners referred this to the area plan, and then area plan didn't do anything, I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, that was in the minutes.
And the only other issue might be if there was special legislation in place that required area plan to do that. But I think all that legislation has changed since then. So I think it's a dramatic change between then and now.
Yeah. So the commissioner stated in that minutes that it's in place now.
Right.
You know, so and my question is, okay, the process may have been a bit confused, but the end approving authority did approve it. And so is it still in place?
Just off the top of my head, I'd say an argument could be had that it was, assuming there's no legislation which says otherwise.
Yeah. So, I mean, I was asked the question by one farmer, and I said, I don't know for sure if it's in place or not. But we all knew one was in place, and I think we'd all have known if it was removed. So based on that, I would have to guess it's in place.
Yeah.
But I can't say, and I don't know if any of us can sit here saying, the one attorney that I questioned about it told me a judge may overlook a process error, or he may send it back to be redone correctly. Well,
Right.
But the state may have changed, if the state changed the way they did things, whether we have one of moratorium, it'd be moot anyway, right? If the state changed something.
And I think there's going to be language in the legislation which covers this issue. My understanding is that the state of Indiana now has the controls over the operations of the CAFOs.
Like environmental checks. and things
Environmental
like that.
pollution control.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That falls under
Yes.
IDEM.
Yeah, that's ultimately right. And that our dog in the fight to say is making sure setbacks are met, it's far enough from the road, make sure it's in the proper zone, those sorts of things, which will be in our purview. That's my understanding of
That
what
would be
all.
our role.
So, if, Mr. Harmon, to finish on your thought, it might be a situation where the commissioners might want to, they might be the best body to ask if that's still in effect. And if that's a concern, maybe their attorney should research that and see. Because they're the ones who, as you have pointed out, and I do agree with what you're saying, if it did come up legally, well, they're the final say. I think it would be called harmless error. So I hope that answers your question.
So it's a little bit of a slightly unknown,
Correct.
but you're kind of leaning more towards it is in effect.
I would, yes. Assuming, again, and this is a big assumption, and I have not researched it, there's no special legislation which says otherwise.
Yeah.
No statutes which say otherwise.
Because
I'd
you
have
can
to look
still
at that.
place a moratorium.
Yeah, I would have to look at that. I would guess there is a statute somewhere that says if a moratorium is in place, this is how it needs to be done, this is how long it can last. But I don't know that because I haven't researched it.
Yeah.
But I will look into it.
You'll look into it.
Yes, I will.
That would be helpful. Okay.
And possibly the commissioner's attorney also, though, may need to look into that.
Yes, I think they definitely should.
Todd, you have something to add?
Yeah, I'm sitting here trying to, wish I had my folder, right? I'm trying to think how I can find it. So I dove into it a little bit, going back to the document, and I could be wrong here, it's Resolution 5, 2018 is the resolution we're talking about from the commissioners. And it directed an APC review within 60 days. And so it paused approval until the commissioners had an opportunity to act on the APC recommendations. So if it has that wording, right, that they were putting a limit on it of 60 days and paused approval until the commissioners had that time to act. Some of that wording might be coming from the actual meeting minutes, because I had those dug out also. But that was at least their intent. And so one could argue that, okay, whatever went on, I did go back to and try to find the meeting minutes and the APC records to see if there was ever any discussion about it. But there's certainly no changes in our ordinance concerning CAFOs in the 2018. There hasn't been any changes to it since 2006, put it that way.
But they gave the APC 60 days to make recommendations.
Right.
It didn't say it expired in 60 days.
But they did put a time limitation on it.
Yeah, on the APC
Well,
to
yeah,
do something.
we want to get this done. Here's a reasonable time frame.
That the APC may not have done anything, or they may have done something. But anyway, then later on, it was passed by the commissioners, and they said it's in place now, effective immediately. That was from the minutes.
Right, and then when you look at the resolution, I'm saying
resolution
that
says the
it will
APC must do
it will be
this.
an interesting
60 days.
conversation for
Yeah.
David and I sat down and look at both sides of it, and I think there's an argument to be had on both sides. And we need some legal resolution to
We
it.
need that resolved.
Well,
Yeah.
isn't it,
I agree.
but isn't this academic if either the APC, which is us, takes some action, like we request our 6-month moratorium to try and come up with recommendations, or we, go to a commissioner meeting and ask them to, if either the moratorium lasts until we make some kind of recommendation that the commissioners act on, or the commissioners can act on their own, and then it doesn't particularly matter what interpretation you have. The Gordian knot has been cut, right?
If action has been taken by either body.
Right. So to me, it sounds like the question is, do we want to, as Mr. Glickfield suggested, do like a 6-month moratorium and look into what recommendations we want to make for amendments, or do we want to request that the commissioners weigh in on this without our input? That sounds like the two options to me, rather than trying to chase legal tales from 2018.
Well, you probably need to settle this from 2018 because you've got an application in play right now.
So the question is, would they be eligible to build under the current? Right, would be your
Under
okay.
the current ordinance,
Yeah,
and
fair
they
enough.
may want to come for a hearing soon.
Can that be presumed that an application will be accepted?
We have an app, for all transparency, we have an application in progress, and we're going by the current ordinance and, trying to fill in all the boxes.
So this legal
Yes,
framework is
an
not,
application has been received and it's not complete to be able to bring in front of this board.
okay, but nothing that you know of is forcing a stop to that application, moratorium or not?
No.
Okay.
Well, if the moratorium decision's decided, then it could stop it, or it could let it go.
Right.
So it's pending.
Until we get a legal review of,
So we get that
a
set,
legal
right?
opinion of whether we're on or not. Whether I can accept the application or not. Maybe I have overstepped.
You accept it, but not approve it.
Right, and I certainly haven't brought to the board.
Again, I don't know this applicant, but would they be willing to suspend their application until this has been resolved? I don't know, maybe not.
This
Or maybe it
applicant
doesn't
has
work.
been waiting since 2018.
Yeah, and who it is isn't the issue.
Well, right, but
Yeah.
I'm just concerned about the idea that there's so many possible interpretations, as Mr. Glancy said, when this could be resolved if it happened 3 months from now after discussion with the commissioners. But I suppose that ship has sailed.
Recommendation, Mr. Glickfield?
Well, I had forgotten that an application was pending. I would suggest if we want to discuss this, we do it in an executive session. Because doing this in an open meeting is when an application is pending and talking about which course of action to go is probably not a good idea.
Okay, that discussion
Because it could be a
ends.
legal matter. We very well could end up in court and everything everyone says in here could be admitted. So, but I also know that the ordinance that we have in place now is going to have to be adjusted at some point. So that there is going to be an issue of, and my recommendation will be whether this petition this application is in place, whether it applies to this or not. Let's keep that aside for the moment. But we are going to need to do that 6-month resolution to revisit the ordinance and see what changes need to be made to it to take to the commissioners, so to make sure the county's duties are laid out correctly versus the state's duties. Because I think our current ordinance has a lot of the state's duties in place now, and that needs to change. And this is the body that needs to make those recommendations.
Okay,
Are we able to go into executive session after the public portion of this meeting, or do we have to?
You have to advertise
You have
it,
to advertise
Yeah.
executive session, okay.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
how many days in advance?
I'm sorry,
How many days in advance do we have to advertise? 48 hours?
48 hours.
48 hours.
We got a data center on Wednesday night.
Did that catch us Wednesday? It would, wouldn't it? If you do it first thing in the morning. Yes or no? Who does math? It wouldn't.
When's the data center meeting? What time?
Wouldn't make it.
6 o'clock.
6 p.m.
6 on Wednesday.
Would have had to have been made 2 hours ago.
How long do those meetings last?
We try and end them at 8.
Well, you got,
2 minutes.
yeah, you can do it at 8 if you want.
It's Wednesday.
I'll leave that up to you.
No,
Because we're going to finish the subcommittee.
we're gonna finish the
That,
subcommittee.
it
data
may
center.
go longer, Nate, if you don't mind.
Yeah, let's shoot for next week. First next week. That'll give us opportunity and give David the opportunity to research some things.
The next Monday.
Could be.
Now, let me look at
Okay.
meeting
Yeah.
time for the room. Council budget hearings are coming. I think we get stuck in there before they take up the room for a couple weeks at a time.
Like town board meeting.
Yeah,
We have board, town board meetings on
yeah, working around
Second,
everybody's
fourth.
schedule.
Mondays, yeah.
Now, there are no decisions that are acted on in a executive session, nor does it require a quorum. So, okay, all right, this discussion ends. We're moving to item number 5, new business, the budget. What you folks have in front of you is the proposed budget that Todd has put together.
Check this again.
Whenever you want to, Todd, I'll let you expand on it.
I think I would like to just review the sheet that has the red and green on it. It's kind of the highest level sheet. That compares 24, 25, 26, and 27 requested budget. So these are the adopted budgets. Things that are in red is where we raised the requested budget, and things in green are where we had lowered things. So in personal services, yeah, we did raise our salaries a little bit, but we
That's in
removed-
comparison to the year before, correct?
Right.
Okay.
But we removed the part-time person. So overall on personal services section, the subtotal is actually lower than what it was. Well, it's the same, actually, as what it was. No, it's lower than what it was in 2026. Sorry about that. So supplies, we raised by $500 overall. And other services and charges, just go down to the subtotal. We raised that slightly by $1,000, and that was in photos, blueprinting, and legal. Just certain things are just costing a little bit more. But overall, the overall total budget, we reduced by, I didn't do that math, about $5,000 in that range.
Yes.
And we're doing that with this requested budget and actually requesting an increase in salaries. I don't know if I have that and what I gave you or not. Per person. I don't think I have that from what? Last year's to this year's. I didn't put that in there. Sorry about that. But there's a small increase in salaries.
But it's reflected on this.
Yeah, it's
sheet.
reflected in the 2027, but I don't have the 2026 numbers in there on what the increases are.
You know what the overall percentage increase is in salaries?
That I requested?
Yes.
No.
Okay, I mean, the number goes
I've got it
over
someplace.
6%. I was just wondering if that's consistent throughout the department or?
Yeah, I think the percent increases was the same throughout.
You gave us a chart back in April of salary increases.
Pardon? Yeah,
You gave us a breakdown of salary increases.
right. And that was for this year, right? After we requested to remove the part-time person. So this is for 2027. So overall, I'm hoping that overall, I'm asking for a little less money and to give the staff a little increase. And we're still, if you look at the average bars that I gave out earlier this year, we're still all under that.
You lost a person, though, I mean,
Part-time.
yeah, right, you lost part-time, so.
Yeah, we removed the part-time person.
Did we elevate someone to full-time then, though, or?
No.
No, okay, yeah, it was just,
All the other staff stayed the same.
right, okay.
Yeah,
It was a part-time permit clerk and, one single permit clerk does this well, and then we're cross-trained
Yeah.
enough, or the rest of the staff, when they take vacation or not there, that we have somebody to be able to service people that come in the office.
This was proposed to the council, correct? You talked about
This 2027 budget?
No, you talked about the change in the personnel issues. with
Right,
the
that was
council.
approved through the council,
Yeah.
and so it's ongoing. They all were happy. I didn't get a raise, but the rest of the staff was pretty happy, other than Tammy. Tammy was very happy and satisfied, but we, got to commend her to be able to make this decrease happen and adjust the salaries, because that particular position of the administrative assistant was quite a bit higher than the inspector, the code enforcement officer, and that just doesn't stair step well with the way the rest of the counties in the state are run. The inspector and the code enforcement are certainly, the inspector is higher than that. So she did take a pay cut to be able to make that all work out and stair step correctly. And she accepted that before she accepted the position, so. Thank you, Tammy.
Any other things you want to share, Todd, about the budget proposal?
Any questions? I just kind of hit the highlights. We can go into details, or if you have some questions that you want me to look up and send to you, I'm happy to do so.
So, I know we've taken down buildings. Why is there $0 expended in 24 and 25 for unsafe building? Or is that,
This on the
maybe it was
blue,
only 26 that we did that?
expended.
Did we really not? I
And
find it
unsafe building fund,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it says 24 expended, 0, 25 expended.
0.
Cause
The 26 one is the one that
Yes.
gets me. You've already used the entire budget for this year of 26 of 55,000.
I actually believe that. We've taken down a lot
By
recently,
May
but,
of
I
this year.
mean, right
Yeah,
on the
but-
nose, 55,000,
right,
which is the
Fair enough.
budget amount if we already spent that in 5 months.
yeah,
Or is that just a wrong entry in that column,
yeah. Good question.
carrying the budget amount into that column rather than expended?
That's a good question.
Is it, Todd, because this is general fund budget and that's a separate fund? And you've given them the general fund budget and you have not given them the unsafe building fund?
The unsafe building fund is $200,000 as a separate fund. And
Yes.
then we have the unsafe building fund that's under
I
this
think
budget.
this right here, if I understand what you have, let me pull it up.
This is part of the general fund here.
I think this is just your general fund budget, right?
Right.
Yes, and the same here. I think this is just
No,
general fund.
I think the question is, why is that not on here? Well, it wouldn't be on here because it's not general fund. It's
Okay.
unsafe building fund.
So you're saying that shouldn't be a line item on this budget?
No, it would be a line item for a separate budget.
Okay.
Okay. Because I was gonna say, you're not gonna hear me say this often, I'm all for spending less money, but given that we've saved 5,000, I would almost rather see the unsafe building.
What I don't know is if that might be a non-reverting fund, and he just has the ability to submit a claim to the commissioners each time.
Right.
I don't know that for sure,
Yeah.
but it's something along those lines. I think what he's presented to you for approval is just his general fund budget.
Yeah, but if,
So it's 55,000 been spent from the general budget, moved into the unsafe building fund? Is that's why it says
If
that?
it doesn't get spent, I believe that, well, I would think, well, I don't know how he's done
If
it.
he's got 200,000 in his unsafe building fund, that
Yeah,
could be an accumulation of those
I would,
monies.
Todd, I think, is this from general fund or is this from unsafe building fund, that 55?
See, I was under the understanding that the unsafe building fund was out of the general fund and was separate from the $200,000 of the demo fund.
Oh, okay.
Well, separate line item, and they vote on it separate.
So,
They being the county council.
Maybe you can just give us a clarification next month, you know?
Clayton, we approved this last year, the 55, because it used to be
Yeah.
50 and we added
Yeah.
5 to it.
Yeah.
So we approved it on the same,
yeah, I believe that, I probably didn't notice the $0 spent last time where it was recorded. I'm not,
is that what I do? Okay, well, I'll be here. But you still also have a.
So we haven't taken down very many
That's
houses.
fine, yeah.
When you look back and, I mean, ask Todd, he probably knows.
yeah.
But
Yeah, but
it's a
it's code
small
enforcement.
number. How many houses would you say we've taken down in the past few years?
We
2.5, actually.
have
Yeah.
not taken, we didn't get any taken down this spring, you
Okay.
know, and that was usually a time in which, or late last fall, this spring. And that's a time in which we utilize the highway department to get things done when they're down. So we missed an opportunity there. Again, Randy McAfee is doing an excellent job coordinating with the highway department, lining up buildings to get things done, working with the towns to say, hey, you know, what do we really want to get done and what kind of money do you have to get done? And some of it, the hardest part is who's got ownership of these things and how do we get the legal ability to tear these things down? And some of it is just, people just need to get them signed over and or they're in the commissioner's hand. We just need to get them signed over, right? I mean, I'm looking at people here that I know there's issues out here.
Yeah, we've been doing
Yeah.
hard.
And it's good to have somebody that's on point, that has these things in their mind. And so I believe we're going to be able to use up that fund and hopefully get it to spread out as many places as we can, but certainly get that used up this year. And utilize the highway department and then be able to start and actually have some, when 2027 starts, we'll have a busy late 2026 and 2027 with the highway department.
Jerry,
And run through all of that, so.
I'd like to talk to a state legislature because here's the thing that's always rubbed me wrong. And you brought it up. These properties change hands after they've been condemned, and that should never happen.
Yeah.
And again, that starts us on a different time frame when a new owner gets a hold of it, because we're going to remodel this, and that never, ever happens.
Yeah.
So there should be some kind of legislation to stop that, so that can't happen until they prove they're going to improve it or it gets tore down.
They need some kind of bond or something.
Yeah,
at least.
something should, but you've got these investment companies, they're just buying properties blind on the internet, and they're horrible. We've got 3 or 4 that should have been tore down 2 years ago.
We've got some too. And that includes the county, not just
Yeah.
cities, right?
Yeah, everybody.
Yeah.
Because there's many out in the
Everybody's
county
got
that
a life.
everybody seems to think, nobody cares if it's out in the county, if it's not in the town.
And that's something that is really frustrating to everybody in the office.
Sure.
Everyone on the board, everyone in the county that drives by these dilapidated properties. And, in my mind, it's data driven. and we look and we just keep gathering the data and looking at the data. What are the biggest causes? And then what are the solutions? We need to know what the causes are. And so trying to clean them up one property at a time, like we did the property on 9, took over a year and a lot of coordination and a lot of money, seriously, that we'll never recoup as a county. Not really the way to, that's not the way to get everything cleaned up. But what we're talking about here as far as these investment companies and LLCs and the way they work that shell game, that's a bigger place, that's a bigger place to target. And we'll look, we're working on it, we're working on trying to gather the data and then solutions around that.
Do we have any power locally within this concern, David?
Do what?
Do we have any power as a local government?
I've always been under the impression there's a lot of power under local government getting torn down. I know when I was city attorney in Marion and now as a city attorney in Gas City, where we have a property, we just take it to the Board of Works. We go through the legal procedures outlined by statute, get the order of enforcement authority, and if they don't appeal it to the courts, then we tear it down.
And then who pays for it?
That's what I was getting
At
ready.
that point in time, the city pays for it.
Yeah.
But, well, I know in Gas City, we do something similar to what the county does. You have the street department do it, and then your main cost is just for dumpsters, which is dramatically cheaper than hiring someone to do it.
Can you put a lien on it if the county takes it
We
down?
do put a lien on it.
Can you add it to the property taxes? So if somebody buys it, they're paying that?
Correct.
Okay.
Most of the time, they end up at a commissioner's deed and they're written off.
Right.
Because once the commissioners take title to it, all liens are wiped off. And then they have the ability to sell the property.
So is it fair to say that maybe that the issue that smaller communities or counties then is that we have the jurisdiction, but maybe we just don't move fast enough, and that's when they're able to, because I think like what Jerry was saying, the issue is, okay, we finally have the money to do it, we have the court order, we have the statute, we've gone to the Board of Works, and then we go to file the paperwork, and oh, there's a new owner. Now they like reset this 6-month clock. So is it fair to say like maybe if we could just move faster?
Well, I would ask your city attorney, but I would contend that action goes with the land.
Okay, so you feel like that shouldn't reset a clock, or there's an argument that could be made?
Yes, exactly, yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Have your attorney give you that opinion though.
great, yeah.
Is there any pattern of a property with a house having been torn down worth more than one abandoned?
Rarely would a house that be torn down, the property is worth more without it.
Okay, well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It happens. Sometimes your the house itself is worth less than
Yes.
it would cost to tear it down. So it's worth,
And where I'm going with that, if it goes into a commissioner's sale, is it worth more without a house than it?
Right.
Generally it is, yeah.
sometimes.
I think Mr. Webb would know that better than I would.
Yeah.
I'd say most of that would be, wouldn't
Building
it?
lot.
I mean,
I
you
mean,
know,
percentage wise,
Yeah,
it'd be
I
more
mean,
than not.
yeah, the ones you're leaving are usually the ones in
Yeah.
such poor condition they can't be rehabbed.
Exactly.
So now you have the cost of tearing them down.
So it's not a tremendous risk for the county to go ahead and tear them down.
I didn't intend to derail it so much, I'm sorry. I am just now wondering if there's a separate demolition fund. What is the unsafe buildings fund?
Todd, he cleared that up for me. He said the council budgets $55,000 a year of general fund money for him to use. And then he also has the unsafe building fund. So there's 2 different pots to take care of
Okay.
that. That's what I understood his explanation.
Okay,
Right, so unsafe building fund is what we use to clean up a property, not necessarily demo
yeah,
a whole
Okay.
home
and we didn't use any of that in 24 or 25. As I said, yeah, fair enough.
That's
Yeah.
what this.
Do you have to ask the council for the 200,000?
That's not been an issue, they just,
No.
You just stamp it?
yeah.
Okay.
So if you only put claims out of that, then you haven't taken the claims out of the annual 55, because I know work's been done. Like this
Yeah,
year, we know.
Yeah, what we've done so far has been out of that.
Okay.
And so then, within this discussion, if I may put in one other item, which is then what I'm thinking of, this is a good discussion, glad you're here, is if we're allowed or able to flag some of these companies, right? Although I know they could just whip up another LLC, but it's like, okay, well, you bought 5 properties or 70 properties, and 2 of them improved and the rest of them all went declined. You can't buy anything else from the tax sale. I don't know if that's an avenue we can go down, but let's cut the head off the snake.
I don't know about
That'd be a commissioner question.
Yeah, I mean,
They'd have to pass an ordinance to do that.
right,
We don't have the ability to do that.
right.
Your area plan.
And I don't know if any,
They may not have the authority.
Yeah, right.
because that's cutting off somebody's right,
Yeah.
But how do we stop that activity?
Well, yeah, if we can figure something out, because that is not going away. That's not going away.
But I'm encouraged here, there's something we can maybe take back to our city attorneys and.
And just get service,
Yeah.
get service on the building.
Right,
And once you have service, proceed.
right.
If someone else buys after the fact, then it's their duty to find out what's going on.
Fair enough.
Can you find these owners for these dilapidated structures that are just sitting out there?
You live in
And they're
different
making no
states where you
improvements
can't,
or doing nothing.
gotta hunt them down.
Can you find them for that?
We have to pass an ordinance.
Or is it just take it to court?
Certainly, I think there's probably, I would assume the county has nuisance statutes somewhere. And you probably could find them under those statutes. I know cities have them. I know we do it all the time in Gas City for weeds and any other trash accumulations, that sort of thing. I think the county, I'm sure somewhere in the ordinances, there would be ordinances which provide for that. So yes, we could do that.
Any other questions related to the budget? This has been good educational discussion that we've had. Any other questions? Hearing none, we'll entertain a motion to approve the proposed budget. Have a motion from Wilbur Webb. Second. Have a second from Karen Pullen. Oh, I'm sorry, Travis Lemaster. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign.
No.
Clayton is opposed.
I just don't understand it. That's fine.
Okay.
I'm not offended. It's just, I'm not gonna vote for something I don't understand.
Okay. Since we have one opposed, Mr. Glancy, you want to do a roll call to clear that up, or are you okay with it?
You're the chair, you say if it passes.
Okay. Passes.
Passes, okay.
Submit it to the council.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Let's go to item 6. Mr. Glickfield, anything to share with us?
Mr. Glantz already highlighted the work that's been done on the Reynolds property. I won't go back into that. And are you going to talk about this in your director's report?
That's next, yeah.
I won't talk about the new statutory changes which have come up on our fee review. He's going to handle that. So
Okay.
that's all I have.
All right, thank you. David? Todd?
Okay, so like what we have talked about some tonight, in a process of changing the ordinance, I'm giving out a draft for a change in our fee structure again this year. And so this is to look it over. It's a draft, it's a place to start. And until we get some movement and everybody's ready to have a public hearing to recommend it to the commissioners to change the ordinance, we will just keep working on the details. So I've put a statement together, so I'm just going to read it. And it kind of mirrors the front page. Is the purpose of bringing Appendix A back before you is not simply to increase fees. The General Assembly adopted IC 36-7 2.3, which is the new Indiana law, which changes how counties must calculate, collect, account for, and use certain planning, zoning, building, development fees beginning January 1, 2027. So under this new IC code covered fees for building permits, construction, zoning, development, subdivisions, classifications, recast classifications, and related applications cannot exceed the amount reasonably necessary to cover the county's costs. These costs may include processing applications, reviewing plans, conducting inspections, and preparing required information or statements for the applicants. So the Indiana State Board of Accounts has also directed counties to deposit these covered revenues in County Fund 1240. These revenues must be separately accounted for by fee type and used only for the applicable costs associated with the fees collected. The money placed in 1240 does not revert to the general fund at the end of the year. So it is important to recognize that Grant County increased its fees last year. That increase was completed under our ordinance that was in effect at that time, and the ordinance required fees to be adjusted according to the change in the county assessed valuation, and the county followed that requirement. This new review is necessary because of the change in the state law, and changes the basis for the structure of the fees. The county can no longer rely solely on the automatic assessed valuation adjustment. We must now be able to demonstrate that each covered fee is reasonably related to the county's cost of providing the service connected to that fee. The proposed schedule was developed using the area plan's actual budget, staffing cost, workload information. The calculations include salaries, fully loaded salaries, by the way, and reasonable operating expenses associated with the services being provided. Those expenses were used to estimate the hourly cost of employees involved in receiving the applications, reviewing the zoning, construction plans, issuing permits, preparing public hearings and materials, conducting inspections, maintaining records, and completing follow-up work. The analysis also considers the office's actual permit and inspection workload. This included the number of permits issued, the number of inspections performed, approximately 15,000 miles of annual inspector travel, average inspection time, and the fact that inspections are normally grouped into an efficient daily route rather than treated as separate trips from the office. It's, I think, 5.5 miles per inspection, something like that. For many construction permits, the proposed schedule uses a base fee plus a charge per square foot. This base fee recognizes that every project requires a minimum amount of application intake and record keeping inspection work, regardless of the project size. The square foot portion recognizes that larger projects generally require additional review and inspection work. So the proposed schedule does not attempt to recover the county's full calculated cost in every category. Appeals, variances, special exceptions, rezoning, and similar petitions were intentionally kept lower because excessively high filing fees could discourage people from using the lawful approval and appeal procedures available to them. This new state law establishes a ceiling on what counties may charge. It does not require the county to recover every dollar of its cost for each applicant. So it's not telling us to pay our own way. A general comparison was also completed using fees scheduled for Madison County, Howard County, Wabash County, and the city of Marion. I kind of used a 10-point range to describe fees as generally the same. So Grant County appears lower overall than Madison County. We're about the same as Howard. and were higher than Wabash and higher than the city of Marion residential building permit schedule. Those comparisons are not exact because each jurisdiction handles permits and inspections and classifies them differently, and other expenses. However, the comparisons indicate Grant County's schedule falls within the overall regional range and does not make Grant County the highest cost jurisdiction. And I think you have some more detailed numbers in the packet. And so this remains an APC review draft. The purpose of presenting it is, at this stage, is to allow full commission to examine, take your time, examine the assumptions, the questions, the proposed amounts, and make changes before the matter advances to public hearing. The goal is a fee schedule that is clear, legally defensible, reasonably related to the work performed, and fair to the applicants and consistent with code. The other thing that we did not do last year was just kind of what we have and then making an increase. And then what I found over this last year is there's a lot of places that describe in the text of the ordinance where we could charge, don't make a statement on how much to charge, and is not in Appendix A in the table. So how do we charge for something when there's no guidance on how to charge for it? So that's why this is so much larger than what we had before. And so I've taken quite a bit of pains there's a lot of changes in the text and the body of the ordinance to reflect what we have in Appendix A, because the body should coincide and mesh with the appendix. So I went both ways on that analysis. I have not been able to really read this over super close, so have at it and don't feel bad if you see some blazing error or even any small errors.
So
Questions?
why do we think that the state got involved and created an IC code for this? So that these offices can become self-sufficient or
No,
consistent?
from what I've been able to gather, believe it or not, it is for affordable housing, to bring the cost down. So I'm assuming, like large cities in the donut counties, there's some real high fees, which I've heard. I haven't went and explored them, but that the fees are getting a little outrageous on.
You level the playing field a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I've heard of.
Is that?
At my attorney conferences on new municipal and county laws. In fact, the state legislature was there, the state representative was there and said the exact same thing he just said.
Okay.
So I think that is the intent.
Although it's going to raise the issues, raise the cost for the citizens of the county overall, and there'll be charges and fees that are backed up in ordinance that were not before. If that makes sense. This fee schedule is much more extensive than the 2 or 3 pages that we had before.
Do we have a time frame that we must accomplish this task?
It goes into effect January 2027, January 1 of 2027. And then, as long as we have it passed, they extended it from, I think, 60 days to 90 days. So after the commissioners pass it, then I cannot implement the fee increases for 90 days. And I'll have to advertise again. That makes a lot of sense.
You have software support.
Makes sense.
Will you have the software support to be able to integrate this into the office?
Yes, we did it before.
Okay. Okay. So what do you want from us?
Review and see, I mean, there's a lot here. I mean, even if you all want to call each other and say, you know, you take this section, I'll take that section, however you want to split it up. But I hope everybody knows by now, I like feedback and, you know, break stuff over the coals. Whatever our end product is, I want it to be the best it can be. And it can't be the best just by one person, putting stuff on paper.
This is subject to commissioner approval once we.
Yeah, I mean, so we'll take this as a starting point and let's see where we get, how much feedback we get, what kind of changes we want to make, and then maybe put it up for a vote in October or November.
Questions, commission members?
I have a question for Mr. Glickfield. So I'm confused about when we go to the city legislatures and when it's just the commissioners. So like because like for floodplain ordinances, there's some ordinance changes, we have to take it to each legislature. Would this have to be approved by each legislature, or is it the commissioners?
This would have to be, the commissioners are the legislative branch in county government, so they have to approve it.
But, so like Van Buren and Fairmount wouldn't have to approve it, or?
No, this is the Grant County fee schedule.
Grant County, oh, okay. And then the cities just kind of sign on to that and say whatever.
I would assume you would have the same responsibility in your individual city. If you have fees, I believe this would apply to you also. You would have to be able to justify those fees. So it's creating more work, I know.
Clayton, is your question related to, like, you're talking about it because of the towns that are part of area?
Right, yeah, so like, my thought would be.
But this isn't a change to the zoning ordinance. This isn't a change to the area-wide zoning ordinance.
Yes, it is. This will go in the area zoning.
This is the fee schedule though.
Right.
But this isn't like a change of a zoning plan that has to be then adopted as an ordinance by each of the towns that are part of area plan.
I'm just always trying to drill down on what precisely the relationship is between the area plan commission and its constituent cities that are signed on, and maybe someday I'll understand. But thank you for your clarification.
Call me sometime.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'd love to. Yeah, let's get lunch sometime.
Sure.
Other questions? All right, hearing none, we will move to item 7, public input. If you would, come to the podium.
I've got one more item.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Real quick. Kenny, you wanna?
Sure. I'm sure everybody's very aware of the current storms we've had, and it's been unprecedented with our permitting system in the office right now. So, for example, in 2025, for the entire year, there were 187 roofing permits issued. This year, we are at 717 roofing permits for the year. Over 187 for the year last week, we're doing in months. Electrical permits, the whole thing. And I'm trying to remember what year it was. 2017, there was an ice storm, and they were breaking their records there for entire permits, 1,291. So far this year, and we still have 4 full months to go, we're at 1,034. So we're just a few below the record-breaking years. There's been no backup. There's been no extended wait. The office is moving smoothly, and Randy Berry, our building inspector, has, as you can imagine, for every, a single roofing permit is 3 inspections on average. So he is just going really above and beyond, but lots of activity in the office. And, we took it down from the part-time to a full-time. We did away with that position, and there's been no glitch. So, just update you all on that. Very good.
Well, thank you, Tammy, for what you guys are doing in that office. Appreciate you. Anything else, Todd?
That's it.
All right. At that point, we'll open up to
I like to speak.
public comment.
Yes, public comment.
We need you to sign your name, state your name. You don't have to give your address, but state your name and sign it.
Gary Wright, Paramount. I'm a grain farmer in Paramount, and then also the policy chairman for Grant County Farm Bureau here in Grant County. I was watching the meeting prior on video, and so I didn't realize that APO's was brought up earlier by Ed Hartman about moratoriums, but I guess I have a question for Ed. Why are we talking about the moratorium when I've been told by the APC that when Ron Mowry put this on 8 years ago, that it was never legal because he never had a public hearing? And now we can't even find the records on a moratorium. So why are we discussing a moratorium when I thought we was past that?
Some records we've found says that a moratorium was put on. And for one thing, I don't want to get down the road and find out we didn't do things right. This will
So
be
you
a
have
this can be a
moratorium?
hot button issue.
I know it'll
We
be a
don't
hot
want to
button
just jump
issue.
into it without knowing what we're doing.
This moratorium that you've been talking about, do you have the public record on it?
I have minutes from 2018 when it says the
Was it filed?
commissioners passed the moratorium.
Was it filed and you have records of that filing?
You can actually find that on the public website.
Was it legal? When Ron
Minutes?
Mowry didn't? No, the moratorium.
I don't know.
He didn't have a public hearing. He had a public meeting.
Well, that's definitely a process error. Now,
Well,
would the
the
court overlook it
errors are
since
errors.
the commissioners have the final say? That's a question.
Well, yeah, I think it is an error. So how can it be legal? And why are we discussing this?
Because
I thought we were-
sometimes the courts will not send that back just because it was a process error when the commissioners have final say. When the commissioners have final say of what is done, it's going to be the way they want it. So they passed it. The question is, would it be thrown out? Because
But don't
again,
you
it
have
would
to have
take
a public hearing?
It'd take a court.
Don't you have to have a public hearing for that to be legal? When Ron Mowry was
That's the
commissioner?
process for the APC to have a public hearing.
it wasn't
And
done.
we also had a solar ordinance passed without a public hearing. That we recently replaced that solar ordinance last year. And the only way we could get that overturned was if we had sued. We could have taken that to court for a summary judgment, but it was, one attorney quoted us $38,000 to do that. And it was like, that's a terrible amount. And they didn't do it. Instead, they focused on trying to get 2 new commissioners elected and get a new solar ordinance then. So it is the same situation. An ordinance was passed by the commissioners. We think there was no public hearing. I don't see any documentation about it. And unfortunately, we have a trouble spot here in that we cannot find our records.
I know. So that's
A
why
lot
I'm
of our
questioning
records
whether
were
this
lost when we were
moratorium is
hacked.
even legit, whether it's even legal.
Well, what we have is we have evidence that it was passed by meeting minutes that were recorded. That's what we found. And you've also found a moratorium in the recorder's office. So, like we've said, and you've asked me before, and I told you, we all knew a moratorium was put on. We don't know if it was taken off. And if it had been taken off, I think a lot of people would know it.
So what's the next step if you think it's legal at this point? Legit?
He's going to try and find out, but it's a tough issue. Because we've already been down that road on solar, and they said, well, you'll have to sue to find out. And by the way, even if you spend all that money, the court may just say it goes back to the APC to do it correctly. It's not necessarily straight.
Well, I'll tell you, Ed, I get this feeling that we're just against everything in this county.
Well, you know what?
And that's aggravating.
I feel we're in favor of transparency and being a little bit more careful.
Well, I
We
think
could
we're
have
grasping at
recklessly
straws.
run into
I think you're
solar.
grasping at straws and you're trying to pull out a moratorium that we don't even know that's legal and legit. And you're trying to use that to slow this process down or stop it.
Well, slow it down for sure. and do it right, for
I tell
sure.
you, we've
And
been
if
waiting
doing
for
it
8
in
years to
secret
get
is
this
something
done
that
and
we
get it
wanna do,
straightened
I'm
out
not
in
for
8
it.
Mr.
years.
President, this is a personal argument, not public
It'll be
comment.
taken up after the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Anybody else?
Chad Kirkpatrick, 2885 North 1100 East Van Buren. The moratorium, we do need to support our Grant County agriculture. For several years now, I've heard we need to support our local farmers. We can't have solar, we can't do this. Well, we need to make it so farmers can actually farm and do agricultural things on agricultural land instead of arguing about it. I went and checked on this moratorium thing way before all this even started, and everyone's like, we think there might be one, but we couldn't ever find any paperwork for it. So now here we are, this young man spent a lot of time and money getting ready to do this process, and now it's like, well, sorry, but you're gonna have to wait another 6 months. That's just uncalled for. So, very disappointing. Hope you guys can make the right decisions coming forward, so.
Mr. President, Chad, no one's saying that we're gonna look into it and try to get the facts, and we're gonna make sure the statute because my guess is the statute covers that now anyway. And I think that's why we're gonna be in executive session and discuss this to make sure we're correct.
It's just funny, it comes up now, because I've been in knowledge of all this, because I know the gentleman. And now it's brought up right before
Well, Mr. Clancy and myself have had some discussion on this because the issue the gentleman before you was talking about needs to be examined. And there is an issue on if the moratorium, either one is gone or two was incorrectly put in place, or three, whether state statute governs it, then the issue becomes the moratorium's not there, and then the state statutes are going to govern what happens. And I think that's what we're going to be discussing in executive session. I hope that helps.
Hi, I'm Andy Ellis, Fairmount. And you can already see this is an emotional issue, right? And the folks of Grant County, I think, deserve to know. And I think I have to commend the body that we've had here, that the things that you've gone about and trying to put in place to try to make sure that there's full transparency within our community. I think that is critical to get buy-in from your constituents, from the people that you're supposed to represent. So it sounds to me like there's a difference of opinion on the moratorium and how it was decided somewhat unilaterally that it was over, which is probably deserved a little bit of investigation before doing that. But at the same time, it sounds like that they're trying to do the right thing, but as you can see, there's a lot of emotion around this. And the people on the other side that are going to be impacted by this probably would like to weigh in also. And it sounds like that and tell me I'm wrong, but we backed into an obsolete ordinance from 2006 that can't really represent what the needs are of Grant County today. And farmers, but there's also other people in this community. Got people that work at factories, people that work in restaurants, people that live in the country, people that live in the city. They all should be involved and understand what's going on. And so I just would ask you to very much, I hate to use the term slow down, but we've all lived through where it seemed like things were being done in secret. And then we didn't find out about it until it was, in our face. And I don't think we have to go about it that way. I think it's important to go ahead, get out in front of it. Ed is taking, sounds like a tough stance, but I think he's just trying to pick out process and make sure that we follow the law, follow the rules, and make sure that we got something that the community can live with. So I'd ask you to please do due diligence and try to take care of your neighbor. Thank you.
Michael Duke, Grant County. Where I was sitting over there, I sat basically in the same chair in 2006 at the culmination of the discussion of the issue of whether or not a CAFA was going to be approved in northeastern Grant County. It was very, very emotional at that time. And we don't need that kind of emotion again. We need reason. This, as words been said by Mr. Ellis about commending you for trying to keep, if that's the right word for men, that this body for being transparent and addressing the issue head on. That is appropriate. I would ask that our citizens look at this in a judicious way, just as the body is trying to make an effort of looking at this issue in a judicious way, in a transparent way, in order to solve a problem, get an answer and solve a problem. I would appeal to the community for calm. We do not want to have that emotion that existed here in 2006, and probably a couple of years along the way since then has been there. The thing that strikes out in the back of my mind, and I will remember this for a long time till I'm put in my grave, is that the person that was sitting next to me in that seat over there made a comment about putting a bomb in a car of one of the members of the body up here. So when I say emotion, that's when I'm making an appeal that we avoid and progress in a judicious, methodical fashion as quickly as possible if it can be done expeditiously. And to do the conversation in a civil way. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, I've heard the claim of lack of transparency. Todd and I have had continued discussion in regard to whether this ordinance is lawful or still in effect or not. There's been no intended lack of transparency. We've believed that the ordinance wasn't in effect, and we are following the procedure that would follow with any other application of any other development in the county. So I'm personally offended by this accusation that there's a lack of transparency. There's been no attempt by myself as the president or Mr. Glancy as the executive director to not have transparency. I want that to be understood. We have a plan. We'll meet an executive session. We'll discuss it. Mr. Glickfield's going to look into the legality or the effectiveness of the current ordinance, and we will move forward upon that point. We didn't believe that there was any reason that we could not receive an application based on the discussions that we've had and the research that Mr. Glancy's done. So there is no attempt to not provide transparency. Okay? All right. Any other comments, commission members, before we end this?
Mr. President, can I try to clarify one thing?
Please.
It sounds like there's been a little bit of confusion over something I said. I firmly believe that the state of Indiana has taken over the vast majority of jurisdiction over CAFOs. And most of the requirements are going to come from the state of Indiana. When I was talking about a review, I was talking about a review in the sense because our ordinance is going to be conflicting with state statute. When that happens, state statute overrides local ordinance. So therefore, we as area plan, have to construct a new ordinance which covers what our jurisdiction is. That's what I was talking about, potentially that period of review to do that. That's what I was referring to, nothing more. I hope that helps. clarify.
Anything else, commission members? Anything, Mr. Clancy? We good?
All good?
All right, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Adjourn.
I have a motion from Mrs. Bowen to adjourn. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second. From Clayton and Gary Duncan.
Second.
All right,
Who got the second?
we'll put Gary on the record. All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Meeting adjourned.
Save money on the budget if we didn't. That way, yeah, this way we don't consider
Right. Exactly.
It's hard.
I was just starting the first day. This is,
I don't have no one on, the clock was even on, most of it.
It died on you there.
Oh, I didn't know that. I believe. I thought that was all the same. Maybe.
That's what I'm gonna.
Fight back. Hey,
That's where I was going in 2006.
we're still recording.
Thank you.
No, I am not.